Hello! I'm a little late today. Something came up at the last second, and, oh, I've got loot or something. I don't know. No, I don't have loot. I would have it if I did. But, anyway, hey, this is Crazy Aunt Julie. And I'm going to be working on Fatal Girl again. Sorry I missed yesterday. I still don't know where to post announcements so that people know when I'm going to be here or not, but since nobody comes here, I'm not as worried about it as I could be. But I'm going to keep this going at least probably all the way through January, and by then I might actually have an entire episode put together. Oh, I put this here in case I didn't, in case I thought I was going to start the stream and just be leaving it blank. Anyway, so what this is I am putting together an audio drama piece by piece. It's a slow process. That's part of what I'm trying to show, is that it is a slow process. And also I am just generally showing the steps that I take to do it, which are probably more than I need, but I'm sort of old school and low tech. I just got some new programs and things that I might be experimenting with soon, but for now I'm going to stick with what I know, just because a lot of times the learning curve is longer than just doing it my own way. And that's always kind of where you come down to when you're working on stuff, is it's like, do I learn new stuff, or do I just keep doing it the old way because I know how long it's going to take me to do it the old way, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to learn. It's that catch-22. Or 6 of one, half a dozen of another. I mean, in the long run, it's always better to pick up new technology so you at least know what's out there. But in general, it can be, it's daunting. All right, it's like going back to school. And who likes school? No. I like learning new things, though, but just a little bit at a time. All right, so what I've been working on at this point is Scene 8, which is Ken and Alice talking in the hallway, and they move around. Let me get back familiar with what it was I had here.
That's so cute. Ugh.
What's so cute?
No. Oh. I don't know. You know, Chi.
Yeah. Food.
Now, I'm going to actually, I should have done this previously, and that's why it's always good. That's why I like to do my voices before I start adding in the timing, before I start adding in the sound effects, is because the timing, I want to get the timing where I want it first.
No. Oh. I don't know. You know, Chi.
Yeah.
See, again, that's a little too long for what I want. I did also stream a little bit of a video game that I'm quite fond of the other day, and I might do that again on occasion. Because someday I really want to do some gaming videos. I'm not super gamer, but it should be fun to watch me fail anyway.
Yeah. Food.
Hey, Alice.
Yeah?
What's in all the boxes?
Actually, I want to make that last step come with the yeah, so it's like, yeah.
Hey, Alice.
Yeah?
What's in all the boxes?
What boxes?
Oh, come look.
So?
And I'm going to put a little bit of space here. To put in space, I'm going to copy a little bit of space and then paste it where I want it. I have to paste it in both tracks because that keeps all these still in connection, or in the places I want them relation to each other.
So? They're boxes.
I actually am going to take out this last step. It's a little recognizable, and I don't want it to just sound the same every time.
So? They're boxes.
And I've got breath here between these two that doesn't sound right. Hear that?
So, they're boxes.
And I'm actually going to tighten that up a little bit more.
So, they're boxes.
And they're all addressed to you.
Oh. Oh, yeah. I might have ordered a few things.
Might? Don't you even keep track?
Look, it was probably the middle of the night, and I've been having those nightmares. Sometimes you do whatever it takes to stay awake, even if it means ordering an egg twaddler or whatever.
But we still have to pay for them.
So?
Look, is there anything you really want? Maybe I could send the other ones back and we...
Why bother? I'm eating...
That has to actually cut him off.
Why?
Nothing sounds worse than somebody cutting off themselves and not being overlapped.
Why bother? I'm eating now, and it will be food or your face. Your choice.
Well, now that you put it that way, fine.
Now, I want her to stomp off during this bit. I should still have the footsteps up. Yes, I do. So I'm going to take some footsteps and put them in here. So it's like...
I'm eating now, and it will be food or your face. Your choice.
Well, now that you put it that way, fine.
And I think I'm actually going to put right here, of all things, I want a door to slam. Just to punctuate her comment there. So I'm going to go in here. That's feet. I have my sound effects in all sorts of different files. I sorted these the way they made sense to me. So doors are under wood noises. And I want a door to slam. Squeak and close, door close. I don't even want it to necessarily slam, but yeah, it's a little bit much. How about, a lot of times I will default to just standard sounds. I mean, I'll have a pile of different standard sounds that I keep. That's a little bit not enough. So it's hard to figure out sometimes exactly what you want, but I've often made just a page of standard sounds that I just use for everything, so that I don't have to think about it too much. That's what I want. Okay, and it's going to be because she's going to the kitchen, and see, that's one of the places where I could have copied this down. I only want the slam though, because the door is open at this time, and I need to high pass filter it because it had some background noise in it. That's another another reason to keep a set collection of sounds that you use a lot, because then you can clean them and you don't have to worry about having to clean them again every time. To just, every time you need to use them. And I want to move it so it's right between his words here. And I'm going to take it down a little bit here. -5, yeah. So then what you get is this.
I'm eating now, and it will be food or your face. Your choice.
Well, now that you put it that way, fine.
And I might put a little more space here to let that sound go.
Now that you put it that way, fine.
See? Now this, we've got this far, we've got the sound effects in. Now I think Ken's going to be fairly static for this whole sequence. And so I'm not going to give him much probably not going to give him anything in the way of effects. Let's see here, let me listen.
That's so cute. Ugh.
What's so cute?
No. Oh. I don't know. Chi.
Yeah.
Now, right here where he gets startled,
Cute.
No.
I could give him sort of a, like a jump noise, but it's really unnecessary. We know what happened, we can picture it, and any extra footsteps could get a little too muddy here. So I'm not going to do that in this case.
Yeah. Food.
Hey, Alice.
Yeah?
What's in all the boxes?
What boxes?
Oh, come look.
So, they're boxes.
And they're all addressed to you.
Oh. Oh, yeah. I might have ordered a few things.
Might? Don't you even keep track?
Look, it was probably the middle of the night, and I've been having those nightmares. Sometimes you do whatever it takes to stay awake, even if it means ordering an egg twaddler or whatever.
But we still have to pay for them.
So?
Look, is there anything you really want? Maybe I could send the other ones back and we...
Why bother? I'm eating now, and it will be food or your face. Your choice.
Okay, so yeah, he really doesn't have any need to move. He does still have that noise in the background, which is driving me nuts. Let's look at this here. I'm going to pull his track up a little bit. Now, so you can see where the noise kind of cuts in here. Now, if I solo this, you can't really hear it there much, but you can hear it here, I believe. It's that really low hum. And it's really hard. I've tried and tried to take it out of his track, and it's just not coming out. That's one reason I've got the sound going, the clock and stuff off in the kitchen, off to the side, just to try and offset the hum so that it doesn't intrude on the ear at all. And it works to a certain degree. It's working less in certain areas of the track. I can still hear it. And I know that most people can't, which is one of those things that I talk about, doing things so that they're at least, 87% perfect. Because the 90% is only going to impress 2% of the people. I mean, most people are just going to gloss over mistakes and not notice them. And the few people who are going to notice are probably going to notice no matter how much you work. So let's take it back over here, unsolo it. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save as. File, save as, and I'm going to put save as edited moving. Now, because we're going to move Alice back and forth around this place. And that's going to be exciting. Now, I know that there are programs that allow for track movement and stuff, and there's all different ways to do it, but this is my simple, old school, it works for me way of doing it. And what I do is I've got Alice and her effects, and they're all centered. The reason for that is if you have anything not centered, if you're going to merge them, it'll create a stereo track, and you don't want a stereo track at this point, we want a mono track. So I'm going to merge those three. So all of her effects are now in this track. Now, what we've got is there's footsteps here, and then footsteps here, and the door slam. So I want her, I'm going to actually move her around quite a lot. So I'm going to make 4 copies of her track. She first comes in far right. And then, actually she probably comes in way far right and moves over just a skosh. And this is actually with this initial footsteps right here. So I'm going to delete everything else from this track. No. Okay, fine. I'm just going to hold the shift key down and go end and highlight it all and get rid of it. I'm going to fade this out and fade it in to the slightly closer track. Oop. Nothing like having it in the wrong place. Now, we're not going to hear this just yet, and it probably won't make a huge difference, but That's the first step. Now, on the tracks below this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and smoosh them up as I finish them. That doesn't exist here because that's over there. So she comes over, and then this is the next place she walks. So we're going to fade out this from here to here and fade in from here to here and blank out any of this. So she's moving to, we'll let her move to slightly left of center. That's quite a move for that bit. Now, at this point, after we faded that out, everything to the end goes away. Now she's slightly left of center, and Ken says, come back over here. So she's going to fade out here, fade in here, I'm going to do fade out twice. And this all goes away. And everything after the fade out goes away. Yeah, it's always good to remember to take everything out, because otherwise you're like, why is something in the wrong place if it's like over here on the track? Now, when she does that, she's actually walking back to the right to look at the boxes here. Now I'm going to even have one more track for this last walk, which is this part here as she walks this way. And actually this first part doesn't count. It's not part of the walking. I mean, I could make it part of the walking. It's no big deal. I mean, we're just creating illusions here anyway. And then this track, she goes all the way left to the kitchen and then shuts the door. And the door can't be there. No, stop that. And plus the fact that right here where the door shuts, I'm going to bring these up so I can have it all on one screen. Come on. And this one. Okay, so over here, where the door shuts right there, I'm going to cut out the kitchen noise, because she's shutting the door. And we'll have Ken by himself there at the last. Now, listen to this.
That's so cute.
What's so cute?
No. Oh. I don't know. You know, Chi.
Yeah. Food.
Hey, Alice.
Yeah?
What's in all the boxes?
What boxes?
Oh, come look.
So, they're boxes.
And they're all addressed to you.
Oh, yeah. I might have ordered a few things.
Might? Don't you even keep track?
Look, it was probably the middle of the night, and I've been having those nightmares. Sometimes you do whatever it takes to stay awake, even if it means ordering an egg twaddler or whatever.
But we still have to pay for them.
So?
Look, is there anything you really want? Maybe I could send the other ones back and we...
Why bother? I'm eating now, and it will be food or your face. Your choice.
Well, now that you put it that way, fine.
See? And suddenly we kind of know where everything is. Now I'm gonna do a slightly higher high pass on Ken and see if that gets rid of that background noise a little bit more, because it is still bothering me. And hopefully it doesn't kill it too much.
That's so cute.
What's so cute?
No. Oh. I don't know. You know, Chi.
Yeah. Food.
Hey, Alice.
Yeah?
What's in all the boxes?
Well,
I think that's going to be fine. I think it takes out a little bit of the noise. The reason I've got Ken toward the left is because that background noise in the kitchen is off to the left, and it's interfering some with the noise in his track. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do with all of this is I'm going to, where is it? Mix to new track. So now I've got this track shows everything in that's above it mixed together. And I'm going to put room tone on it, which is going to make it sound a little bit more like they're all in the same room. And room machine. Where did I put room? There it is, room machine. There's all sorts of ways this can be moved around. I usually just use the default because I don't know what any of them mean. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I figure, I'm using defaults because then I don't have to worry about it being wrong. It just adds a little bit of ring that's consistent across both voices and all the sound effects, so they all sound like they're in the same place.
That's so cute. Ugh.
What's so cute?
Oh, oh, I don't know. You know, Chi.
Yeah. Food.
Hey, Alice.
Yeah?
What's in all the boxes?
What boxes?
Oh, come look.
See, and by adding this,
So,
it kind of smooths out
they're
any differences
boxes.
between the
And
sounds
they're all
of the two.
addressed to you.
Oh. Oh, yeah. I might have ordered a few things.
Might? Don't you even keep track?
Look, it was probably the middle of the night, and I've been having those nightmares. Sometimes you do.
So, and then I would call this scene. Now, I think this is all done, and I'll go ahead and close that for now and start in on another one. Let's do another. Oops. Oh no! You can see under the spell of. Oh, hey! There! I just got a comment, or at least I wasn't paying enough attention. Hi, Intrepid Peach. Thank you for coming to the show. Yes, I am absolutely. I just move on to the next scene. I hope you're still here. Oops, I've all caps on. How silly. But yes, I'm actually. For me, I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, okay, that's done. I think of it more as a craft than an art. In other words, so that I can just separate it out and go, that's done. If I listen to it again later and I hate it, maybe I'll fix it again. But most of the time, if I can just do a full listen through later and I don't hear anything that stands out really bad, I'm fine with it. So, yeah, it's something you actually kind of have to learn as much as anything else is when to leave it alone. And I know there are people who take it, far more seriously as an art and want to perfect it. But for me, I'm very much, for me, the art part is the writing and the acting. This is the work part. This is the craft. This is just get it done and get it out. People are going to listen. Yay, it's nice having somebody here. Pardon me. Sorry to ignore you for so long. I didn't realize my chat window had gone behind something. Let's see. Maybe I'll do another Hyde and Chi in the car scene. One of the sexy times. I mean, no. That's all off screen. Let's see. Scene 17. Let me open that up. And I've broken up all the voices into different categories, and I've already done basic cleaning on them. And so, oh, well, that's a exciting looking mess, isn't it? Well, these were recorded at different times. Hyde was recorded in a session when we had everybody together up here, these two tracks. We had two mics going, so we had a left and right, and I've already split them up. And then Chioko was recorded separately. So this is going to be a fun one to break down the voices. The chances are about here is where the scene restarts, because we always did 2 straight run-throughs when we do it in a group with where we have let's see. Car. Oh, that doesn't help. No. Oh. I'm in this. Fine. I've got to find scene 17 in the script. Unfortunately, since I use auto numbering, I can't just search for 17. I should just set them at this point, actually. That's far cleverer. Let's do that. Alt F9. Okay. Now find 17. All right. Oh, yes. Now I know where I'm at. Well, that was exciting. What did we just come in on? This was probably hysterical laughter. Yes, it is. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pop mute and bring down some of these higher sound things, just generally to get them down out of the breaking, I can't even talk today, out of the edges of the soundtrack, so that I know whether they've actually blown the gain or whether they're salvageable. They all look like they've actually been done okay. And it's good.
Like a private moment.
No more private moments from Ray.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes. Gasping just also isn't my strong suit, apparently.
You'd be surprised how many people have trouble gasping on mic. That is the noise that so many people can't make. It's an inhale, not an exhale. They're like, "Huh." And you're like, no, it's anyway. Teaching Hyde how to gasp.
Oh god, if there were 5 of him?
Come on, where's
Yeah.
the scene start again?
Okay.
Sorry, we're trying to teach Hyde how to make sexy noises. I'm gonna save that one.
Go back to private moments here.
Oh dear.
No, she just hands it to you in
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go through that in a private moment. No, so we must have started this. If that's all just us teaching Hyde how to make noises, we'll sell that in a separate track. No, yeah. We'll go ahead and set those aside. I'm gonna save this over as edited. I save multiple copies if you haven't seen me mention this before, because I don't want to have to go back to source material if I don't have to. I'd rather save it at various locations during the process, because once you close an Audacity file, it's set in stone. You can't undo past when it's closed. Some programs do hold on to a static history forever, I think.
Over and over again. Yep.
Yes, and now I take a left step out of coming out of.
So we had 3 directors in the room, and it's like Ken and Alice and me were all directing as well. So Hyde actually gets the brunt of everything.
Yes. Yes. It's a powerful thing. Yes. It's my best friend. Okay. You truly haven't looked into my family?
Good. There's where we finally start the scene. Okay. Now it looks like at that point I'm going to whoops, darn, wrong button. I'm going to this is the first take on the scene, and I'm going to paste it off to the side because I'm saving it in case I need to steal any lines from it. I want it handy, but I want to try working with the second take on the scene simply because, in general, when we're in a group and several of us are directing, the second take is going to be the final one. It's different when I'm dealing with people who recorded on their own because I know that, I'll listen through all their takes and pick the one that suits best. But since I was here for this, I was able to get him to give me, hopefully, what I need. Now I'm getting back to that sexy time. Give me what I need to get this scene done. All right. So one of the first things I'm going to do is blank out all of our comments in between his comments as much as I can see them, because I don't want to listen to us. Okay, let's see.
You truly haven't looked into my family? You're a marvel.
I'm going to high pass that. Just to take some of that breathiness out.
You're a marvel.
He has to get right up next to the mic to get the deep sound, and so he gets
Touché.
very breathy.
I merely meant that the women in the circles I usually move in. And let me interject that I despise everything about them.
I'm going to take in a little space here.
That I despise everything about them.
We've got a sound in here.
Despise everything about them. Would have yeah.
Oh.
And let me interject that I despise everything about them. Would have researched my entire family history, my personal habits, my religion, if I had one, and my credit rating, all between courses at dinner. Why? To find out if I'm worth their time.
Yeah, Hyde and Chiyoko are still getting to know each other at this point. I mean, in episode 6 of season 1, they pretty much made it pretty clear that they're intending to be... that wasn't too bad a gasp.
But you will need to know about the Hyde dynasty.
The dynasty... The Hyde dynasty becomes very important in the course of the next couple of seasons because Hyde's family are a horribly corrupt big pharma company. So that's why he's got so much money.
Jun knows the long way. Jun knows the long way.
Okay, I'm gonna... Oh, nope. I'm gonna pull that over. And everything in here sounds pretty good so far, so I'm not worrying about sound noises and stuff. That's what... I think I'm going to keep the gasp that we've got there. I think it's okay. Rather than go through all the gasp classes that the gasp instructions we were trying to give poor Mike.
Touche.
I like it.
Yes. Touche.
Touche. Let's see what the touche sounded like back here.
Touche.
Sometimes
Touche.
it's hard to decide sometimes between different intonations and different variations on the same word or the same phrase. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Because this scene is going to be about a minute long when it's done, so most scenes run somewhere in that kind of range. It's going to depend, of course, on how long.
Touche. I merely meant that the women in. Touche. I'm.
Got to get that extra noise out.
Touche. I merely.
Hmm. What if I do this?
Touche. I merely meant that.
Almost works. Can't see it though. Well, I know this is where I get into the minutiae.
Touche. I merely.
Nah, I was trying to use that after noise from the first take on the second take, but it's not going to match up.
Touche. I merely meant that the.
Okay, so this is now the scene. Actually, not even that much, because this back here, I think, was us trying to teach him how
But
to
you
sign.
will need to know. Why?
Oh no, that is all the scene. Okay. So some of this might be superfluous. I think it is. It's a weird moment that we're trying to get in. So
But you will need to know.
that's why we're going. Yeah. Okay. Now I remember. See, this is part of it also. Is this was recorded like 5 years ago, and so it's hard to remember exactly what the circumstances we were doing it under were. And this is why we needed this. Why am I still on all caps? Silly. Apparently, I keep hitting that button. It's a very meaningful sigh here. It's a noise that we were trying to get. And now I know what it is I'm aiming for. It's going to be harder to get it to work. Let me see here. I'm going to bring this in so I don't have quite such a huge track to work with. We were trying to get him to make it's the noise that it's supposed to be. It's a noise with a great deal of significance.
You truly haven't looked into my family?
And so that's why we were
Yeah.
trying so hard.
Jun knows the long way.
Actually, I like that take even better than I think than the other ones. This is another reason why we do several takes on things. Let's see.
Jun knows the long way.
Oh, wrong one. I was working in GIMP earlier on the magnifying glass is the zoom on that. That's so sad.
Jun knows the long way.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that one. Volume it up some. I'm gonna do some volume adjustment on the final lines when I get to that point. But yeah, where I guess. Of course, I just took out all the part where we were.
It's a powerful thing. Yes. It's my best friend. Especially over and over again. Yep.
She has undoubtedly been the
Freaking addicted.
Well, let's see. I might have to go down into the other piece there. Now, I have these all saved in the previous version. That's clever. Previous version of this, so I don't have to keep them here per se. That's why I saved so many times, so I can clear out a lot of what I have as I go along. Now, the problem with this sigh is it is meaningful, and I want to make sure it's as close to what I want as possible.
Gasping just also isn't my strong suit, apparently. Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's supposed to be more of a noise almost of pain.
Yeah.
That is the closest so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Huh?
That's kind of close too.
That's just. Oh.
There's nothing like listening to somebody try to sigh on cue. Let's see. This one?
Huh?
Or this one. I kind of like this one. It's going to be hard to work with, but it sounds closest. I just have to earball everything so I can get to that point. It's a very meaningful moment, which is why it's important, and it's also why this can be a pain in the ass sometimes to do. Because you have to make sure you get what you need.
But you will need to know about the.
And I'm going to high pass filter it to take out some of the... That's close as getting it. Because what's happening at this moment in the story is he's... I don't want to just give everything away, but you're going to hear it anyway. I mean, this idea that all his life he's been valued as, you know, for his money, for his family name, for his position, and then suddenly here's this person, Chiyoko, who only thinks of him as this guy who showed up and took a knife for her. I mean, she values him for completely different reasons, and it's really surprising him. She likes him as a person, which also surprises him, because he's never really had much in the way of friendship. That's why it's a really weird romance, is that he is expecting people to expect things from him. He's expecting people to want money or favors or contacts or power or something in return for whatever they grant is as friendship, and that's not the currency she deals in. She's even maybe in love with him, and he's spent a childhood without any sort of particular human contact as far as love and friendship goes. So it's
17.
It's really
Why would I?
it's very, very surprising to him. He's just stunned by this. That's one thing that's going to come up in season 2, is that, you know, for all his money and power and smoothness and everything, Hyde's actually jealous of Ken, because Ken actually can make friends effortlessly, which Ken doesn't really think of as being, you know, important, because he's always been able to do it. And yet...
In what way? Apart from spending so much time being dead.
Is that, you know, it just stuns... It's going to stun Ken if Ken ever finds out that Hyde is actually
Why?
jealous of him.
Why?
Let's see, which one do I like?
Why? Why?
I'm going to have to hear that in context, but I'll take that noise out.
I know everything I need to know about you. You received a wound for me. And stepped in the way of a demon. If I wished to date your family, that would be different. Is there time before we reach our destination?
Wait, what do I have here? More retakes.
Where did the monster come from? If it is a monster.
Oh, that is a different scene. Let's see. These are the lines for... Scene 18.
Scene 18.
Dipstick. Okay. I need to save that over since obviously I haven't. I missed in breaking it up. Let's see. Scene 18. Wait, what? Wait, where am I? Scene breakdown. Okay. And there is no 18 yet because this is the first part of it. Okay. I just have to make sure it's there when I need it. And like I said, this is a fairly short scene once we actually get down to it. I mean, look at this. We're down to less than a minute now, probably, by the time all these lines get put together. And I don't need this top track anymore. But I am going to go to the previous scene I did with Hyde and Chiyoko in the car, because they're having this long conversation in the car over the course of several scenes. Because Jen knows the long way. And let's see. The first scene in the car is scene 9. So I'll go get the sound from that. And the car scenes have the advantage of being fairly static. Oh, I haven't done any movement on this one yet. I haven't done sound effects on this one yet. There was movement in the first one, but looking at their positions here, Hyde is at 50 left, and Chi is at, what is that? It should be 20 left at this point. And they'll continue that way for the rest of the car sequence. So they're actually not spread out across the soundscape. She's basically snuggled up against him. And that happened in the first scene. So we'll put them there. And then this is the car noise, which is just got to sit there. So I'll unsolo and I'll start putting the sound. Now, this is one reason also that I don't use the gain slider here for final volume. I use it for testing volume. In other words, if I took this and I copied it over to the other track, but in this one I had used the gain slider to adjust the volume rather than manually adjusting it, I could easily forget and be like, why does it sound so much louder in this later track? This way, it's always exactly what it is when I copy it over. Because if you use this to control the sound by taking the gain down, or the volume essentially in this case, when you copy a track over, it won't copy any of these parameters. If I copied this track over, it would be pasted at center, not to the side, not to the left as it is in this track. So you have to keep your eye on that. It's just a simple vagary of Audacity. So I've got them. Okay, so let's see. Oh my gosh. I'm going to need... First off, I want to have a little bit more space at the beginning of the track. And... so... I'm just going to move the lines into place and we'll see how they sound. This isn't always certain that you're getting everything in the right place, but it's... let's see. Back to the script. I've got the script open on the laptop, which is how I'm working on this. The why? Good. Okay. In place. Need more than that. Now I can break things up and put them in pieces across the soundscape. I mean, I could cut this part all into a separate part like this. I could do, brain damage. I could do something like this and then just paste it where I wanted it. But I don't like having these gaps. I don't personally like having the gaps in the soundscape because there are times when I've had issues with that. I would rather just have everything be a smooth line with lots of blank space in it, even though I know that can be an issue too sometimes. But it's a personal preference. Now this is both whys. I'm going to listen to that when we get to that point. That's both takes on why that I haven't yet decided on. Okay. Da-da-da. Move that over. Bring that in. That. Okay. Now this is not going to be perfect, but it is at least fit to listen to. And I'm going to get rid of a lot of this car noise because I'm leaving myself plenty here, but it just gives me enough to work with. So let's see what we got here. Oh, actually, I made a mistake. I'm not going to get rid of that end car noise. I'm going to get rid of the beginning car noise because we're not starting the car again. We started it last episode. That's why you listen to things. We're still driving.
You truly haven't looked into my family?
Why would I?
You're a marvel.
In what way? Apart from spending so much time being dead.
Touché. I merely meant that the women in the circles I usually move in. And let me interject that I despise everything about them. Would have researched my entire family history, my personal habits, my religion, if I had one, and my credit rating, all between courses at dinner.
Why?
I do like that why. It sounds more like her. She really doesn't understand it. Because that's totally not what she values in people.
Why? To find out if I'm worth their time.
I know everything I need to know about you. You received a wound for me.
Huh? But you will need to know.
I'm going to give it a little bit more time between this. I kind of like that. That is the best noise we got. But I am going to give it a little bit more time.
But you will need to know about the Hyde dynasty.
And stepped in the way of a demon. If I wished...
Wait. Oh no, the gasp, that actually comes... My bad? The gasp stands alone. That makes it better. Even I, having done this so much, can't always guess where...
And stepped in the way of a demon. If I wished to date your family, that would be different.
But you will need to know about the Hyde dynasty.
I'm going to leave a little moment after that because that is a dun-dun-dun kind of moment.
Is there time before we reach our destination?
Jun knows the long way.
Good. Now, I need to volume everybody up. I think I'm going to go ahead and do... And then I'm going to take down the tops just a skosh. Okay. There are a few places where I'm hearing sounds in here that I need to pull out, but in general, I'm pretty happy with this. When I did the room machine on Ken and Alice, you'd always do it after the effects because you want the effects and everything to sound of a piece. It's like frosting a cake. No matter how much you fuck up the cake getting it out of a pan, you can try to frost it and smooth it out afterwards. And that's kind of what the room machine does, is it puts, it sort of smooths it out a little bit. And so I will do it even though they're in a car. It's going to sound a little different, but I do it after the effects. Now, this scene isn't going to have any effects. They're not moving or anything, so I don't have to worry about that. I probably will do all the car scenes at once when I go through and do that, though, because I dick around with it a little bit to make it sound a little bit more intimate. And that's another reason I'm voluming it up, because...
You truly haven't looked into my family?
Why would I?
You're a marvel.
In what way? apart from spending so much time being dead.
Touche. I merely meant that the women in the circles I usually move in. And let me interject that I despise everything about them. Would have researched my entire family history, my personal habits, my religion, if I had one, and my credit rating, all between courses at dinner.
Why?
Why? To find out if I'm worth their time.
I know everything I need to know about you. You received a wound for me.
Huh?
And stepped in the way of a demon. If I wished to date your family, that would be different.
But you will need to know.
Now, somewhere in here, in one of their tracks, there is it this noise?
But
Someone right in here has a noise, and I think it's him. No! Sometimes I hit the wrong button. Stop that.
Different.
but you
Okay, solo. Let's see who this is.
Different.
Okay.
but you
Yeah, there is. It's part of a breath. That's what I want to get rid of.
but you will need to know about the Hyde dynasty.
All right. And I'm giving it a second.
Dynasty.
Is there time before we reach our destination?
Jun knows the long way.
Okay. So I'm going to take out a little bit of mouth noise right here. I mean, I may say I'm not a perfectionist, but I do take out all the obvious stuff. You know, it's one thing that I always tell people is when you're editing, when you're writing, don't try to edit the minute you're done, because you will see what you think you wrote rather than what's really on the page. And conversely, with this sort of thing, I want to do the first pass on everything, get everything into a certain amount of shape, and then set it aside, listen to it later. If I can't hear the problems later, then they're fine. But if I hear it now, I'm going to hear every little bit that I focused on during the editing process.
Jun knows the long way.
Okay. And that scene is basically done. I can cut out more of the road noise just so that the scene doesn't trail off so much in either direction. And we're good. I will go through and do the room machine on all the cars' sounds at once so that I keep it consistent throughout all the sequences. I have, because a car is a very different space than a room. The Ken and Alice sequence, I'm assuming, happens somewhere in the hallway of their house near the kitchen. You know, I don't have to define where it is. We know they're at home, and, you know, the boxes are there. It's somewhere. That's the thing. It's another thing that people don't always think about when they're writing stuff, is there are a lot of times it doesn't really matter exactly where things are happening. You know, as long as you know the people are at home or in a busy train station or something, you don't have to define it. You don't have to say what it is. Meanwhile, you know, it's that was one thing in the one Sapphire and Steel episode. I think I talked about it at one point, where they did this beautiful, beautiful parody of a really bad audio drama. Everybody was always like, I'm so glad to be seeing you here in the front desk area of the hotel with the ancient scriptures on the walls and the potted plants over there. I mean, it's like they felt like they had to describe everything, and it was just like, yes, I hear that so often. If something is important to the plot, that's one thing. But even that can be overdone, because again, in the same piece, they're like, oh, isn't this a lovely hotel room with these beautiful white walls? Gosh, I hope nothing gets sprayed on them like blood. And you're like, oh my God, could you just beat the dead horse some more? So it can be very, very silly and frustrating sometimes. I am going to go back one step to pull something out of the previous version of scene 9. I'm going to try for that touche again, because I think it's going to sound better. Oh, no, I don't want to show log. I think it's going to sound better if I wanted it from the first take, but I also...
Cho-Cho gonna get the po-po.
Shut up.
Are we back to the very beginning again?
Oh, no, I've seen 9. That's not the one I wanted. That's the one I just stole the car noises from. I'm so silly. Scene 17. HN. They all look alike. But I wanted the first take, and I want the touche.
You truly haven't looked into my family?
Let's bring this up. Touche, probably.
You truly haven't looked into my... Touche.
Okay. Because I'm not liking it without any sound following it. I mean, with cutting out all that noise. So what I want to do is capture that breath as well, so it sounds more natural. And that's why I had to go back to the original here. So I want to work on this up close and personal. And I want it to come right up to the edge of this sound. I don't want to delete any of that sound, but I want to make sure that it's a smooth transition. And just to check, this is currently that volume. And then I'm going to paste. And then I'm going to bring it back to roughly that volume. So
Being dead.
Touche. I merely meant that the women...
it just sounds so much more natural that way. And, you know, when I was pasting it in before, I hadn't caught the whole phrase, essentially, the breath that followed. And being able to put that in makes it sound way more natural. And now I'm going to take the touche up another notch or two in volume.
Spending so much time being dead.
Touche. I merely meant that the women in the circles I...
There. That I like. Okay. And I'm going to end on that note. And another scene tomorrow. Woohoo! See, part of the point of doing this whole live stream thing is to show how much time it can take to do this. Because people don't realize how much time can go into making audio drama. It's not horrible by any means, but I'm fast-ish. I mean, I could go faster if I wasn't trying to talk and explain things as I went. Obviously, anybody could. But at the same time, you know, there is a lot involved. It's not so simple as just, oh, well, it's only half an hour. I could whip that out in a day. No. I actually, at one point, did do an entire show in a weekend. I just to see if I could. But it was, Where Are You Now? Which is say 80% of that is my voice doing two different parts, you know, just talking to myself essentially. And so it was just a dialogue between two tracks, and then with music behind it, and then short scenes interjected. So it was a very simple script that I wrote and put together in a weekend to see if I could. So yeah, once you get past that, it's way more complicated. Where Are You Now? It's not in my... Holy crap. I gotta look that up. I've been working on the radio station, trying to put together new tracks for it. That's justpasttheautomat.com. I showcase different old-time radio shows each month, but also play all my shows. And also Edict Zero, with Jack's permission. And occasionally things like Brown Monkey and stuff for the fun of it. But I just realized I was making a list of all the shows in my rotation, and I somehow missed Where Are You Now? That sucks. That was actually a pretty cool episode. Anyway, I'm out. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow being Friday.